What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Aeron from the Wrestle Plug podcast. I am here to discuss WWE's Superstar Spectacle. I had no clue, to be honest, this was on until my good brother Cameron messaged me and went, "Hey, you checking out WWE India?" I'm like, wait, what? And I'm glad I did, to be honest. And it was so good, in fact, and I enjoyed it so much that I felt it warranted a cheeky little review from myself. So happy Republic Day, of course, to all of our Indian friends. I actually got quite a few Indian friends myself, and I know they celebrate this day. I know it's very traditional, a very respectful and very honourable day for them. So happy Republic Day, of course, to all of our Indian followers. I know quite a few people who actually listen to our podcast as well in India. Very grateful for those guys. So I thought it's only right that we extend our cultural arm a little bit and review this show. Finn Balor versus Guru Raj. Interesting. Haven't seen any of these guys really wrestle before, so for me it's quite a fresh experience. And ultimately, the reason that I'm excited to talk about this is because it's nice to talk about new talent, fresh talent, and it's nice to talk about something very different. And ultimately, after watching such a bad Raw last night, I felt like I needed my wrestling palate to be cleansed a little bit. Love Finn Balor versus Guru Raj. Very evident that obviously he's not on the same level as Finn Balor, but that's understandable. What you have to remember is that a lot of these people that are wrestling on this show are tryouts or developmental, so to speak, in comparison to some of the other guys who are, of course, available. Finn Balor, proving why he's such a great hand in the ring, really gave Guru Raj, an opportunity to show off his offense. I was a little bit perplexed because Michael Cole announced him as kind of like the high flyer of the Indian division, and I didn't really actually see much to suggest he was a high flyer. You know, he was reasonably nimble on his feet, but I didn't see anything crazy, any moonsaults or stuff like that. Not saying that that necessarily means that you have to do those moves to be a high flyer, but they kind of hyped it up a little bit. But one thing I loved about this was the technical foundation, the fundamentals, actually. It was lovely to see two wrestlers grappling, hammerlocks, transitions. It's weird, isn't it? We watch wrestling so much in the modern era, and we take all this stuff for granted. Ultimately, Finn Balor comes out on top. Thought the match was fun. Interested to see where Guru Raj goes from here. Would like to see more of a get-up, new ring gear, obviously. Probably my only real critique of these guys was that a lot of them did look very green. So it would be nice, you know, obviously I'm relating my opinions based on what I see from the WWE product, because obviously if they're going to be in the WWE product long term, probably going to need to have a little bit more in terms of pizzazz, you know, got to look a little bit shinier. But ultimately thought it was a good effort, and I really liked this lad. I really enjoyed his technical wrestling, actually. Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and I don't want to butcher this poor lad's name, so I apologise in advance. Shiraz Ali, I believe was his name. Shiraz Ali, clearly the deer in the headlights, bless him. Lovely guy, lovely smile, good-looking young lad, but very much out of his depth on this commentary team. And that's not to say that Michael Cole and Corey Graves didn't try and make him comfortable, but he just didn't really add anything to it. But it was nice to have him on, and ultimately, I was thinking when this started, to have an Indian guy on commentary just made it feel a little bit more authentic, and I appreciate that. It was the little touches as well. 8-man tag team contest. This was probably one of the more fun matches of the evening. Rey Mysterio and Ricochet teaming up with two people that, frankly, dwarf them. We had Dilsheer Shanky, a very big, gangly man, almost 7 foot tall in his own right. And we also had the giant Zangier, who very much intrigued me. As soon as I looked at him, I was copping some Braun Strowman feels off of this guy. I thought, but he's genuinely huge. 7'2", apparently, or at least he was announced at that height. India is very well renowned, actually, for having huge athletes. Just look at the Great Khali, but well before that, India used to hold a number of world records, actually, for the world's tallest people. Just an incredible country with an amazing mix of pedigree, with an amazing mix of culture and diversity. They were facing the uber heel team, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. They kind of did away with the kayfabe stuff. I'm not going to take it on board too much because it's just a bit of fun. It's a standalone show, and ultimately I had a really positive experience watching this. This match was fun. It was entertaining. I really loved the dynamic. There was this great image halfway through the match where the two giants stood there and Rey Mysterio and Ricochet were kind of between their legs on the floor, like, you know, growling dogs, like, row, row, row. I like that. I thought that was fun. It was very evident that these guys were having a good time with it. Cesaro, again, in-ring hand in this match, really lending himself well. I noticed every single match had a proper good hand in the ring. as you'll know, a good technician, somebody who can help lead the match, a ring general, so to speak, and Cesaro obviously did that. I thought Baron Corbin was fantastic, winding up the big guys, it was just a bit of fun. Really good face versus heel fare. Dolph Ziggler bumping his ass off, as you'd expect. And of course, the faces getting the win as well, which is nice for the crowd and nice for the people watching, as this took place in the Thunderdome. Really a shame, obviously, with COVID-19, because this would have been a fantastic spectacle in India, I think. Love the finish as well. Rey Mysterio getting on the shoulders of Shanky and, of course, delivering a big splash to Cesaro for the win. Nice. Guys both look really good. Preferred Giant Zangier, if you want my full-on critique of the guys. I think both of them have great potential. Obviously, when you're that height, you're always going to have potential in wrestling. I thought Zangier had a better look to him. Bigger build, liked the beard as well. He had a more menacing presence. His facial expressions were a lot better as well. Really, really liked his facial expressions. And he delivered a lot of his offense a little bit more confidently than Shanky did. Shanky almost looked a little bit overwhelmed by the experience, and who wouldn't really? You're in the ring with someone like Rey Mysterio in particular, who's obviously a legend of this business. It's difficult to acclimatise yourself, but they didn't look too out of depth, to be fair. And obviously, when you've got that size, that helps cover up a multitude of issues, or helps cover up the fact that you might be a little bit more green than other talent around you. And like I said at the top of this podcast, they are developmental talent, so cut them a little bit of slack, eh? AJ Styles, the ultimate ring general himself. Again, what did I say? Ring generals. He comes out with Omos, and he's going to face... It's all about Jeet Street, apparently. This guy is apparently a three-time Kushti wrestling champion. I don't mean Kushti as in what Del Boy said. Fuck's sake, get your uncultured asses out of the pen. Jeet Rama is a three-time Kushti wrestling champion. And now what Kushti is a very catch-orientated wrestling sport in India, national sport actually, and he's a three-time national heavyweight champion, which shows that he's obviously got a great deal of credibility. And that showed in the way he wrestled as well. For my money, he was the best of all the wrestlers I saw tonight in terms of what he could do in-ring. Good look to the guy. Loved the singlet. Obviously going for a more amateur wrestling approach. I liked his double underhook suplexes, released German suplexes as well, and obviously working with AJ Styles, there's a guy who can sell for you and bump for you well. It was a nice little match, actually. And one thing I have to say after watching such a terrible Raw last night is I would have actually much preferred it if they had kind of spliced this stuff into Raw. It probably would have made Raw a far more interesting watch, but I'm glad they did it as a standalone show. I really like the look of Jeet Rama in terms of his in-ring capabilities. Again, obviously character, facial expressions, things like that. That comes with time and training. I think spending more time in the WWE system will no doubt help him a lot. But a really great showing, and I felt in-ring he was definitely the standout for me. I really liked his look. I really liked his style in terms of, how he delivered moves. When I say look, I mean obviously the way he delivered moves and things like that, the psychology. I thought it was a good match, and obviously AJ Styles picking up the win courtesy of some Omos shenanigans. But even then, it was lovely to see there was that kind of nice little nod, because obviously in the matches, there was a lot of kind of respect being shown. Finn Balor obviously shaking the hand of the young lad Guru at the beginning, and then obviously in this match, even AJ Styles kind of going, yeah, fair enough, lad, fair enough. And it was nice to see, actually, because just because you're a heel doesn't mean you can't recognise when somebody's put in a good shift. I thought it was a fun match, a nice match, and like I say, I think Jeet Rama, from an in-ring perspective, is definitely streets ahead of a lot of the other guys, and it's plain to see that he's got a great athletic wrestling background in his own right. Very similar to what we see when amateur wrestlers come in, they acclimatise really well. Dolph Ziggler's a good example of that. Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, so many guys who have come in with an amateur wrestling background and immediately kind of hit the ground running in WWE. New Day. It's a new day, yes it is. Lovely to see Big E and Xavier Woods together again. Kofi Kingston obviously injured at the moment. Them and the Street Profits are just so magnetic. Great personalities. Makes you feel happy. Good vibes. They introduced this wonderful spinning canvas, which is a very traditional, regional kind of Indian dance troupe. Great delivery, great present. For me, I'm, somebody who loves to travel and I love different cultures. So it was really nice to watch something different, especially on WWE programming. We shit on WWE a lot. Everyone does. Even our fans. Even the big fans of WWE like myself. we give WWE a lot of stick for their, shall we say, lack of cultural sensitivity, but I think they really did the Indian culture and Republic Day justice, and having this kind of performance helped punctuate that. Thought it was fantastic. Really nice kind of palate cleanser in the middle of the show, something to just put your feet back, put your feet up, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And lovely and traditional as well. Very colourful, very typical of the Indian culture. Beautiful, actually, very diverse, very inspiring, as Michael Cole said, and I really appreciated that. I really enjoyed it. It gave me a warm, nice feeling. I enjoyed that very much. Got a lot of time for that kind of stuff, and I'd like to see more of that stuff actually in WWE programming, which I'll discuss in a minute. Great Khali, cutting a promo as well. Great to see Great Khali looking healthy, looking happy. Obviously, he's going to be highly responsible for training a lot of the talent. I imagine he's going to be involved in WWE India as well, which apparently is going to be a thing later down the line. He's obviously very proud of his trainees, and he wanted to wish everyone a happy Republic Day. Good to see. Nice little, just a nice little promo to put in there, because ultimately a lot of the Indian viewership is going to recognize him immediately. He's a big deal. We might take the piss out of him quite a lot in, Western culture, but in India, that guy is a big deal, not just in stature, but in presence as well. He's a big personality in terms of India, and India loves its wrestling. You saw a lot of these great little bits of footage before the show kicked off, showing Triple H when he went over to India during the Attitude Era, Kane as well. That's a lovely image of Kane sitting next to that kid. I thought that was lovely. John Cena obviously going to visit them as well. Just great images, really. WWE has actually had quite a rich heritage and is very, very popular in India, and I don't think people realise just how popular it is. The women's tag team match was something I was really excited to see, just because I love women's wrestling ultimately, and it was lovely to see a new women's wrestler. Serena Sandhu, who is beautiful to look at and also has a great look about her. She tagged up with Charlotte Flair. What an honor that is. She's a naturalized American Indian, obviously, but not taking anything away from her. It doesn't mean she can't represent her culture, because obviously she's still got a great deal of heritage and descent in India itself. And they took on Bayley and Natalya. Again, ring hand, Natalya, good general in the ring, and she obviously took the pinfall. What was really surprising about this match, actually, was just how much I felt, well, not so surprising to me, but I imagine surprising to a lot of the haters out there. I thought Charlotte Flair was wonderful in this match. Not only was she game for a laugh, dancing with Serena and having a good time, and her ring gear as well. She was the only person who went out of their way, who wasn't of Indian descent, to really help represent the culture. She's such a professional. And that is why Charlotte Flair is in the position she's always in, because she's willing to do stuff like that. So all these people on social media whinging about how they hate Charlotte Flair and she's only in it because of her second name, which it's just the dumbest thing ever, ultimately. This is one of the reasons why she's a big star, because she goes the extra mile. People who go the extra mile should be afforded extra credibility when it comes to these kind of things. And I loved her ring gear as well. It looked so professional. It was so good. And she was willing to get involved, and obviously, letting Sandhu get the pin and things like that. It was so well done. The women really set it up nicely for this girl. Loved her entrance. She really had a great presence about herself. In ring, not quite on the level of the ladies, if I'm being honest, but ultimately these are some of the best women's wrestlers in the world. I mean, Charlotte Flair, Natalya, and Bayley are all genuinely world-class women's wrestlers. I'm not a fan of Natalya at all, as everybody knows, but there's no doubting her in-ring pedigree, and obviously, nobody gives Natalya grief for her second name. But yeah, great stuff. Great to see her get the pin, which is cool. Obviously off of Charlotte Flair hitting natural selection, but that's fine. I enjoyed that. I thought that match was nice, and it was lovely to see the two at the end smiling. Charlotte Flair is obviously somebody who is really keen to help everyone around them, and I think she's just got a great... Charlotte Flair's just got a great personality around her. I think she really deserves a lot of love and credit for that. And the main event, I've got to say, I love this match the most. Now, I'm a huge mark for Jinder Mahal. That upsets people. I think Jinder Mahal was fantastic as WWE champion. I don't care if I'm the only person who thinks that. I love him, and I always will do. The only reason I'm not wearing his t-shirt for this is because ultimately I didn't want it to interfere with the green screen, as it did last time I wore it. Jinder Mahal tags up with, of course, Samir and Sunil, the Bollywood boys, to take on Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion. Yes, indeed, we got our 3MB reunion, finally. And Indashir, who I believe, my apologies if I butcher the name, Saurav and Rinku. Loved the presence of these two boys in the sheer. We all know what the other guys produce. Obviously, I marked out for Jinder Mahal. Don't understand why Ric Flair was at ringside, but it is what it is. Whatever, who cares? Drew McIntyre, obviously, coming down, interrupting Jinder Mahal, who's still fantastic on the microphone. Great to see him back. Really hope he's going to be used properly. And I honestly believe if you can build his character, he could really be a great contender for Drew McIntyre's championship later down the line. I would love to see that. Really would love to see that. I loved it. I thought Ender Sheer had a fantastic look about him. I've seen people on the internet saying that they reminded him of APA. For me, if you were going to use a comparison, which I'm not huge on because I like these guys to stand out on their own accord with their own characters, but they reminded me a little bit of like an Indian AOP. I really think Sarav in particular, again, apologies if I'm butchering the name, he had a great look. This is apparently a big star in India, a guy who's been on big TV series, big Bollywood productions, and that shows, you know, he actually felt in many ways like an Indian Jason Momoa. He had that look about him, this big, burly, handsome beast of a man. Rinku looked great alongside him. They worked really well as a tag team, and I think they were for me, the second most exciting thing I saw out of the Indian talents. I thought everyone did themselves very proud, it has to be said. But I really love these guys. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I'm really into tag team wrestling. I'm really into hosses. I love big, meaty hosses smashing into each other. I thought the Bollywood boys were great in this, selling as they did. It was lovely seeing Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. When he made the 3MB reference in his promo, he said, "I've got a 3-man band of mine." I was like, oh my God, I love you so much, Drew. It was fun. It was really fun. And this match really encapsulated everything that I loved about the show, actually. It was vibrant, it was colourful, it was explosive in places, and ultimately it was a real change of pace. And I think what I loved most about this show was the fact that they opted to give us something entirely different. Absolutely love to see WWE put on more of these cultural shows in the future. You know, the real homage and the authenticity of it really helped it along nicely, and I think everyone involved did a great job. The WWE mainstream talent, you know, the main roster guys and girls, they did a fantastic job of making sure that the Indian talent were afforded the opportunity to showcase what they could do without getting too much of a shine, which I appreciate. That's how it should be. And it was fantastic to see a real showcase of actually the potential and also the strength and power that WWE has internationally. I don't think people appreciate just how much WWE has built a brand for itself globally. We don't realize that being in Western civilization. We just turn on, you know, especially Americans and Brits, we just turn it on and watch it and take it for granted. But, you know, for people in India who live a much more, shall we say, difficult lifestyle for a lot of them. You know, it's a very impoverished place in many parts of India, and you saw the stories of some of these athletes and where they've come from. Getting to watch WWE is actually a big luxury for them and a great escape for them, much more so than even we could imagine. So I think WWE deserves a lot of credit. You know, if we're going to sit here and give them a lot of stick all the time, then we have to give them love. When it is warranted and when it is needed. And ultimately, I think the show was really good fun. Honestly, if you haven't checked it out already, if you're watching this review and you're wondering what the fuss was about, check it out. It's an hour and a half long. It's on the WWE network. It's really easy to watch. And it was just fun. And it felt quite warm and quite happy. And a real detachment from the usual seriousness of what WWE does. And that's why I wanted to cover it. But if you did watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know who really stood out to you. You know, really positive experience for me. Hopefully it was a positive experience for you guys. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz and nonsense I don't need to tell you about when it comes to YouTube. We're closing in on 200 subscribers, so, you know, keep pushing, letting your friends know, because ultimately, once we've got all those subscribers, once we get to 200, it's t-shirt time. We're going to have a little giveaway. I've got a couple of nice little wrestling goodies around here, which I think would be fantastic little gifts for you guys, and I'd like to give those away. So from myself, Aeron, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug.